going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Reel Down. I'm your host, Jimmy Skinner, and I know I sound different because I'm sick as hell. But with me, as always, Mr. Garrad Johnson, the Tennessee Hammer himself. What's going on?
Yeah. All right. What's going on? It's Garrad here. Not the Tennessee Hammer. I'm just a
He's
Tennessee
lying.
fisherman, I guess. I don't know.
He's modest. Well, what's going on, dude? Tell me about the fucking donkey smalley that you got on this weekend.
Did a nice little river float with my buddy Will this weekend and got us some good smallies on the river. It was fun.
I'm jealous.
Pretty
I didn't get an
relaxing.
invite.
Looked like we had a lot better weather than you guys down south did. It was like
For real.
sunny and nice out, not breezy or anything.
Yeah, we were talking about it before the show, man. His pictures popped up this weekend, and they had like pretty skies and sunny and good river weather. And I took a couple boys out this weekend that had never been. Well, they've been kayak fishing a couple of times, but I took them out to kind of show them some areas and try to get them on some fish. And it was blowing 20. It was like 40 degrees, and it was it was so bad. And then it started raining, and that's why I sound like this. So I'm sick. I've got a ridiculous sinus infection and a bunch of chest congestion, and I feel like ass. So I'm going to be here just briefly to bring you in, congratulate these boys that we've got on for the show tonight from the Georgia Bass Nation Lake Seminole event. And I'm going to let Garrad take it away. So
Yeah.
Garrad's going to be your
I'll be
host,
the
hostess, and
captain of the ship tonight. Hopefully I don't crash it.
I mean, if you do, just sink the bitch to the bottom. Like,
all right. Just
if you're going down, I want you to go all the way down. Just leave her at the bottom. But yeah, without further ado, we've got returning guests. Both of them actually. We've had Tom Kazmierski and Josh Counce. Tom, I know we had you on with Riser talking about Dale Hollow. Josh, we had you on with Broach a couple of years ago. So welcome back to the show, boys, and congratulations on y'all's weekends.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looked like you guys had a good time down there.
I'm glad somebody did. Seminole's usually a sore subject when we have it on here. So
me too.
It's all smiles on.
I enjoy it. So
hey, I'm glad somebody does. I haven't got to go down there yet, so I don't have any personal experience. It's just from hearing from my previous co-host, Dan Perry. I know it's had his number a few times, which no hate there because I've got plenty of bodies of water that got my number.
Yeah.
But so for you guys, welcome back again. But for anybody that hasn't, heard about y'all or had y'all on recently, tell us a little about yourselves. Josh, if you want to start.
I live in just outside of Tallahassee, Florida. I've been kayak fishing since I moved here in 2015. I bought a kayak not long after I moved here. I moved here from Tennessee. So I grew up outside of Nashville. And I lived there my whole life. So yeah, I think Garrett, you live there, don't you? Don't you live nearby, or are you from there?
I'm from the other west of Nashville. So
yeah,
3 weeks in a row.
I'm from Mount Juliet on the other side. So yeah, but I know it.
Nice.
So,
that's awesome.
So yeah,
I mean, I basically am from Nashville at this point. I stay there more than I stay here lately. It's kind of weird. As much as I hate Tennessee, I just can't seem to get away from Nashville.
Well, you know what? I'm happy to, I miss it until I go home, and then I'm home for a day or two, and really the only thing I miss is like my family and my friends, but I don't miss Mount Juliet or Nashville at all.
Yeah, it's changed
I would say you'd miss the fishing, but I mean, you live in Florida. Fishing in Florida is fantastic.
Yeah. There's a trade-off, and the deer hunting is not quite as good. It's not near as good, but the fishing is great. So you trade things. So
I would say, and I mean, I haven't fished Florida, but like just some experiences in Florida. I'm sure the buck differences there, but my few trips to Florida, there are freaking doe everywhere.
Oh yeah,
everywhere in Florida.
Like there's meat everywhere, but just no trophy stuff.
I know. I mean, I'm a meat hunter. I don't need the trophies.
Yeah, you'll see some good deer around and stuff, but the fishing makes up for it.
Hell yeah. Well, Tom, let everybody know who you are. Dale Hollow Hammer, the only person to challenge Adam Riser on Dale Hollow.
Y'all keep saying that, you're gonna jinx me. I'm born and raised Kennesaw, Georgia, so I'm one of the rare people in Georgia that are actually from Georgia these days.
Amen.
Not a transplant.
Yeah, I've been in kayaks for probably 3 years now, I think. So I think this is my third year going into kayak fishing. So still learning it a little bit. I do enjoy it. I think it's the people, the camaraderie, everything in kayak fishing is a lot more fun than where I came from.
Amen.
Boat fishing. It's that's kind of what I fish for, is to be around good people and have fun. I obviously, there's very few people making a living at this.
There's two.
Yeah. I'm really in it for the the friendship and the fellowship and getting to set the hook on some bass. I do enjoy. I feel like you see a lot more with the slowdown of the kayak. You're not running 70 miles an hour anywhere. So you see a lot more wildlife. You see, I love it. It's a lot of fun to me. So different world. I have mad respect for the guys that have been doing it for a long time, especially the guys that paddle. I wouldn't do that. Couldn't do that.
Man, it's crazy you say that. It's that one of the guys I mentioned earlier that I was taking out. It's crazy. I've only been in kayak in like 5 years, but I've been in long enough to bring guys in 5 years ago, and paddling was like normal. To bringing guys in now, and 14 seconds into it, they're like, "I need a motor." I'm like, "No, you don't." Like,
yes, you do.
No, you don't need a motor. I don't have a motor. I think I'm the only person that fishes the Bass Nation that doesn't have a motor.
Hey.
That's even more impressive.
Yeah. And you also won, so maybe there's a correlation there.
Yeah.
I guess it's not needed. It's just much more comfortable on my knees and arms at the end of the day.
I see. That's what I agree with.
I have a Theragun Pro. I have one of those. I don't have a motor, so that's what I use instead of a motor when I get home.
Work them muscles.
Yeah,
Dude,
exactly.
I feel that.
There you go.
Yeah, I can't hardly go downstairs for the first day after a kayak tournament. Like I got to go downstairs and my knees are wobbly. I'm like, ooh, is this what's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, getting old sucks. I don't want to get off on that tangent, but Jesus, it blows. Well, all right.
The old guys that told us that are right.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Lake Seminole. So before I get out of here and let Garrad captain the ship straight into the fucking beach, I'm gonna leave it with, I want one of you boys to give us a very thorough description of Lake Seminole, how the lake sets up, the cover, the water, the ins and outs of Lake Seminole, like what it is. We haven't had a good description of a lake lately, so I'm counting on one of you guys to give me a good description. But as you say that, I'm gonna fade out because again I'm sick. I'm gonna go dope up my medicine. Love you guys. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you.
I promise you I'll be here next time.
Good having you. Good riddance.
Okay. Peace. Take it away.
Tom, your description. That's a hard
question. It is. I think it sets up for every angler because at least in kayak fishing, you've got great rivers to fish. You've got tons of different structure to fish. With that being said, because I know a lot of guys are like, "What?" But the structure it's different than a lot of lakes. It's tougher to hone in on the hard bottoms, which is technically springtime. You're focusing on those type of areas. I think history plays a lot into or time on the water, which in every aspect of fishing plays in huge. But I've got a lot of time there, not necessarily productive, but you take those licks and learn from them and start putting together things. But I think it sets up well. you know, I guess a lot of the ramps are either back tucked away. You know, to get away from the crowd, you got to travel a little bit. So, I mean, in this event, we had motors, so a little different. But definitely in a Hobie, it's tough. You know, you got to move. You got to get out, cover some water. But
Make some
like I said, I
water
mean,
runs.
I mean, like I fished 2 Hobies there, and you know, I pedaling 7, 8, 9 miles a day, you know, to
It's
get
rough
to
on the body.
try to get away from and the wind on Seminole is no joke, depending on which way it's coming from. I mean, Saturday we got a good dosing of I think wind
right
and
in
rain.
you're like right in the crosshairs of the Gulf Stream there.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was tough on me. You know, I guess you know from a kayak standpoint, because I fished it from a boat a lot. You know, in a kayak, it's really hard finding a group of fish in a small area that you can
access.
Yeah, that you can access. Be around. You know, if one hole's not producing, you can move quickly and get on the next hole because they do seem to move. The fish there, at least the main lake fish, or the main bodies of water, not back up in the backwaters, but those fish move a lot. They can be there one day, gone the next. They can literally be there 1 hour and gone the next. It's you know,
so
they move a lot.
Is that current related in some areas, or is
I think it's probably forage. It may be current. It may be just how they feel that day. You know, I've seen the shad stay and the fish leave. You know, but they've got tons of food sources. You know, you got needlefish, you got tilapia, you got obviously the brim and all that, and then you got your shad species there.
Wow.
So, but you know, that's the toughest part of the lake to me. But yeah, it's got. I mean, it just sets up to. It's one of those lakes. I hate to say this because I've said it a lot of times on a lot of different lakes, but whatever your strength is, go find that type of water and fish to your strengths is really the best way to break it down to me. In the Hobie a couple of years ago, when Jake Larson won it, he was staying there with Jamie and all of us, and so did I.
Not choke.
Yeah, I had one too. So he basically it's one of those lakes that'll hand you the best or worst day of your life. But he came into the campground. He's like, man, I hadn't caught a fish in 3 days, and I'm like, dude, you're from Pennsylvania. You fish rivers, right? He's like, yeah. I was like, why are you out here on the main lake? Why don't you get your butt up the river? He's like, there's not any good fish up that river. And I'm like, there's tons of money went up that river. There's shoal bass. He's like, I've never caught one of those. I'm going there. And of course, he didn't catch any shoalies. He caught all largemouth. But and he caught giants. I was like, dude, fish what you're comfortable with. You don't think you got to get out here on the grass or the sand or whatever, whatever. I can't remember that year. I think the fish were definitely backed off more than this year. But that's the other beauty of Seminole is you could literally go there, the same weekend of February 5 years in a row, and
it's different every time.
Yeah, they could be in the timber. They could be in a full spawn. They could be pulling up to spawn. There's so many variables. I really think history and time on the water just is your best friend there. But I love the lake, and it's handed me my tail many times. But I do love the lake. When you get on them, they're big, they're fun. It's got some giants. I mean, I don't know anywhere else.
It's a great kayak lake, really. There's a lot.
I would have to agree because
Yeah, I mean, it really is. There's a lot of backwaters and stuff like that, and this time of year it's probably not the best place to be. But even some of those places now are already warming up because there's springs in the back of them. They're probably on bed in some of the places about Chimney Island and stuff like that. They may be on bed already back there.
Yeah,
so it's just
I found tons of fish on bed, just not ones that I felt like would do the tournament justice. So in the backwaters. So they're
It's crazy to hear about.
I think, I mean, Josh, I don't know what you were seeing, but I'll say the Spring Creek arm, and I jumped probably 4 or 5 ramps in practice. I was seeing anywhere from 63, which it started dropping as we came into the weekend, but I think Thursday I was seeing 66 and some of the, like, back in the cypress ponds.
Wow.
And I was hoping to see some of the right fish pulled up in there, but there were tons of fish pulled up. I think the big females were still kind of holding off. Definitely we weren't in the right moon phase.
Yeah. You guys are on the tail end of the full moon, right? Like
right.
A week or so
I think
late.
I mean, if the weather stabilizes, whoever's getting to go down there in these next, the new moon and then the full moon,
it'd probably be pretty great tomorrow. I'm at work, so
I'm not driving.
All right, everybody, just load up right now. Let's go.
I mean, it was nice. It's beautiful the last 2 days. I mean, 70 yesterday, like 73 or 4 today. It's gonna be good. Sun's
they're
out.
Gonna be munching.
And the water's kind of dirty, so they're gonna be going crazy.
Yeah.
So it'd be good stuff. Well, I guess this is a good time to transition. So you started talking about practice. Did both of you guys practice for this event, or did
I did
you
not
just kind of show?
I just showed up.
That's
I had
the way
to work,
to do
man.
it.
I fished the lake about 4 weeks ago. So 3 weeks ago, Florida Bass Nation fished Seminole. That I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I fished that, but the weather has been pretty unstable. Every weekend it rains. It rains, cold front every weekend.
I don't know why it's like nature just times the cold fronts perfectly with the weekend.
Monday through Friday, beautiful. Friday night, rain, and then cold front all weekend. Yeah.
The beauty is, I think, and Josh, I was watching you on that show last night. I think you said it best, that we had such a great week of weather leading up to this event that I know it hit people's fish in the head.
It did.
Some of them. But I do feel like the fish, we were still before the front.
Yeah.
And obviously the bigs were still eating. You look at all the big fish that were caught in this event, from all, multiple anglers, 7 anglers, I think, had over 20s.
Like 20.
Yeah, they were eating. It was a lot of, yeah. So they were still eating. It was maybe some guys walked into it in the practice and got bit shallow, which shallow is relative, but they were literally, like I think Thursday I saw you could go down any bank of pads and throw a speed worm and catch really good fish, 17s to 18s and catch a 20, luck up on a 5-pounder or a 6-pounder. But I think those fish, from what I heard of the talk at the meetup, I think a lot of those fish kind of got hit. I think the guys that were maybe one step back from that, focusing on fish, had maybe better results.
That's a little better hardy to the weather, I guess. Like something.
It's not as advanced, and they haven't moved as far up, and they're not as effective as much. Seems like. So.
Agreed.
And that's one of the reasons I was off. I worked nights last week, so I was off a couple of days. But I was, I was tired, but still, I was like, I could go up there and fish for a couple of hours, but it's going to change so much, and I think it'll just hurt me more than it helped me. So I just didn't go.
Sometimes that's the best approach, is just kind of have an open mind when you go into it, and just let the day develop as it.
I thought I could catch them the way I did, and if I didn't, I had a backup plan. I was just going to go shallower, so I was going to go up a creek and go further back a creek because they like.
They gotta be somewhere in there.
Go further up this time of year, they're gonna go where they want to go. They don't usually go out of the creek. They just stay there and won't bite. So they're gonna.
That was my same thing. I said these fish are going to the bank. They're not turning around.
Yeah, they don't want to stop.
And there's waves of them coming up. So look for places that replenish. And I mean that's how I focused on the lake after I went and did my little hiatus in backwater looking for some
Yeah.
sight fish.
Yeah, I try to always focus on that. Be where the fish want to go, not where they've been, because it's going to bite you. Usually, most of the time
Yes.
it will. I mean, sometimes it won't, but
Well, sometimes it's all you can find too. So
yeah, exactly.
I've been there.
Yeah, sometimes you can't find anything. So
yeah, wing and a prayer. I gotta pray they stay.
Hey, it's just me and you now.
Hey,
what's up?
Guess he dropped off. Uh-oh. He's gonna get fired on his first day.
Are you fishing the Hobie at Harris Chain?
No, I am not. Man, I have life and work and everything else. I work at nights too, and I drove home from Mobile, and Jamie was on my tail, basically saying, "Guys trip, come on, you got to go." And I'm like, "Oh man, I don't know if I can make it, dude." And got the kitchen pass, and so I drove down Thursday morning, fished a half a day, and then saw enough to know I needed to get out of there.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. We just kept going. So
we said you're probably going to get you just got a ding for your first time running it, and you fall off. That's not good, man.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened there. Just internet just crashed or what. Well, all right. Hopefully, we can rebound here.
I'm lucky. The last time I was on here, I had to go all the way to Crawfordville, which is like 30 miles away, to my office to use the internet because I live out in the middle of nowhere. We had HughesNet then, but now we've got Starlink, and I can do this at home, and it's the greatest thing ever.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just switched to like a Verizon internet, and I'm still trying it out, and I guess it failed me tonight. So
yeah, we don't have that option here. So
yeah. So you guys were just talking about practice and wrapping that up. You guys want to start talking about how your day went, the day of the event, and kind of see how that went?
Yeah. Josh.
Yeah. Well,
you had the better day.
I started off. I fished in Florida, like on the Florida side of the lake. I usually do. It's kind of closer to my house, and so I kind of usually focus over there. There's a lot of good stuff, and it really doesn't get fished as much as a lot of the rest of the lake. A lot of the boat guys, especially from Georgia, they don't come this way a lot of times, to this side of the lake. So I fished down there, and I put in that morning, and there was 3 other people at the ramp. I figured there would be more than that. I was kind of surprised that there was only 3 people at that ramp, and all 3 of them turned, went back under the bridge back up into the creek, and I turned and went out to the main lake, and then there was hardly anyone out there. There's a couple of bass boats, but they weren't even close to me. Just
that's a good feeling.
yeah, and I fished that area before, and I've never really had a lot of people right on top of me. There's such the spot I was fishing is like a huge flat leading into a creek. And there's a lot of area out there to cover. So, I've never had anybody really on top of me out there anywhere close by. People come through and stuff, but they don't really, I don't know, for whatever reason. It's just big enough that people can fish it.
Yeah. So how does that area kind of set up? I mean, you don't have to say exactly where you're at or anything, but like, how does it kind of set up? Like what kind of vegetation or structure were you fishing to?
It's basically like a mile long and mile wide or half mile wide sand. Just it's kind of off the end of an island. It's a big point. There's a big flat.
Yeah.
I drove off the bottom and some scattered pads, but the pads are all dead, so it's just pad stems. So, and it's just a big open area, but it's got uneven features in it and kind of points in the grass and stuff like that, and they're still there.
Yeah.
But, and I think that most of my fish came really off of one spot, but I think that was more than anything. I think it was kind of like in between the shallowest parts or maybe just the grass was a little bit clearer. It wasn't really easy to decipher what exactly was different about that area. They were just, that's where they were. So
they were just kind of stacked up in there.
yeah, and it was just, you couldn't sit on. The first time I went by, I caught 3, but I say I caught 3 and I lost 1. And then I left it and I didn't go far, but I went a little further to another little spot, and I didn't catch any, but I just kind of kept moving around. I'd catch one here and there, and then I went back over there and caught another one. It was just, you couldn't sit on top of them all day. I guess you probably could. I don't have the patience to do that, but I dropped the power pole and I sat there for about an hour. When I caught the first ones, and then I was like, I gotta move around, because like Tom said, the fish move. From hour to hour, they can move so quickly. I've seen fish before in other places. Like I followed a school of fish one time, and they moved like 2 miles in about 15 minutes, and they just were cruising. I was in my bass boat, but I just stayed with them the whole time, and every now and then would catch one. So you don't think about it, but fish can cover some ground in no time.
I mean, I guess they got nothing else to do. They just
yeah.
Eat.
Yeah, just looking for food.
They're literally looking for the best food source.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. So what kind of stuff were you catching them on? Was it pretty much the same deal all day long, or kind of cycling through?
I would cycle through. I kind of threw. I caught most of. I caught all of the fish I weighed in, checked in, whatever. I caught all of those on a jackhammer, green pumpkin shad jackhammer with a diesel minnow trailer.
Not surprising.
That's probably my go-to right there. I mean, I buy that. That's my favorite color, and I use that one more than anything. If I want a lighter color, I put a white color on.
I think I remember seeing like a post that Jordan Marshall put up or something, and he had 3 rods hanging off the front of his kayak with 3 different jackhammers on it.
I
guess.
He did. I was around him.
And I threw a lipless crankbait a little bit too. Older model, Excalibur XR50. I mean, it's not made anymore, but a lot of people got that, they're in their head that it's it's good because it's not made anymore. The booyah's the same thing, but I've got some, so I got to throw them because it's in my head too. So So I caught 1 or 2 fish on it. I don't, but they just didn't seem to want to bite it like they did the last time I was there. Last time I was there, I caught all the fish on it. So it's just for whatever reason, I don't know why, but I would just kind of throw a jackhammer up there and kind of slow it back and roll it back over top of the grass.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was gonna get ready to ask you next. So a lot of people fish jackhammers differently, I guess. So were you just kind of rolling it slowly across the top, or like burning it across the top, or?
Well, I just slowly fishing it back. I didn't move it fast, but that may be why they weren't after the lipless crankbait, because I burn the hell out of it when I throw one of them. I throw it as fast as I can. So but so it's just one of those days. But I threw a spinnerbait some too. I got a lot of faith in a spinnerbait. I throw it and roll it back across the grass too, and I can usually catch one. But I threw it some. I kind of cycled through those things, and that seemed like the jackhammer was the only deal. So in like the last half of the day, that's all I threw. So
sounds like if you're not throwing a jackhammer in Florida in February, then
it's hard to beat. It is a hard bait to beat, and you'd think that at some point in time they're going to get tired of it, but
I was
I'm waiting for that day.
Yeah,
I'm praying for that day.
Yeah, I wish they would Tom, really get on something that's a lot cheaper. That would be nice.
Yeah. No, they know how much those cost. They
exactly.
They'll only eat the expensive stuff.
That's fact.
So Tom, tell me a little bit about how you're catching them. Then, were you doing kind of something similar, or do you have a little different game plan?
No, I was doing what it sounds like, very similar. The area I was in, I think the locals call it the middle ground. But I was out there. I know where a lot of the stuff is out there. It looks like just a vast nothing of islands, but there's kind of the same thing he's talking about. Maybe not quite as big, but there's tapering things that come off some of those islands. Then there's some stuff that's just there. I don't know how it got there. And you got depressions, which is, anybody that fishes Seminole much will talk about the depressions. They are probably one of the tougher things to have the fish stay in, because I think they visit them and then they leave.
They have like little pit stops, so they stop in.
Yeah, they really seem like almost like a resting point, because I guess they lock up in them at some point, but they're tough. And the other thing, you get 2 or 3 bites, and then you got to come back to it. If you're lucky, sometimes you can hit 5 impressions without a bite, and then all of a sudden you hit one, and it's your rod's bowed up every cast. It's weird, but I was fishing shallower. My big fish came on a jackhammer. I felt like there was a good jackhammer bite earlier. So I really focused on it for the first 2.5 hours. And then I went shallow for about an hour and got a limit real quick, just to not be the guy without a limit again. But then I came right back out, and I was throwing the jackhammer, and I was throwing a speed worm a lot.
Okay.
I was throwing it on a heavier weight. I think I felt the same thing Josh was, and in my head, whether it was right or wrong, but the water temperature literally went from mid 60s down to like 60 to 59, even. And if you got over towards the Flint side, it even got down around 57, 56, which I felt like was
a big drop.
Yeah, in Florida strain largemouth, that's usually like death. But
I'm surprised you guys caught some fish in even.
Yeah, well, there.
If it had been Sunday, we probably wouldn't have.
I agree. Sunday would have been a really tough day. But they, I was basically just slowly reeling that speed worm across these, what I call the sand flats, where I know sand is. And typically it's not a way to catch a big down there usually. There's times, don't get me wrong, and speed worms produce, but I was literally just going for some 18 inchers to try to have a decent showing, because I had that 22.5 out the gate. But I started catching,
that's a good way to start.
A 19 on a speed worm, and I was like, all right, they're out here. I just got to slow down. But unfortunately, I feel like the wind was coming, like, I don't know what direction. I would say east, but it was coming out of the east. But it was blowing down Spring Creek from Big Jim's, like white capping. And
wow,
I couldn't sit on them. It's funny, Josh, talking about a power pole. I don't need a power pole, but man, I could have used one this week. Because
there's some of those moments where you're like, dang.
Yeah, I couldn't stay on them. If I caught a fish, like in the last 30 minutes, I think I caught like 3 17s. And the last time I saw the standings, I was like a 1/4 inch off, but I needed a 17.5 to make a move.
Yeah.
And but I couldn't tell, so obviously I take my time, get it on the board, try to measure it, and I would literally have to, pedal almost felt like a half mile, 1/4 mile, something. It's a long ways in whitecaps to get back up there, and then I would, make 2 casts and catch another one. I'm like, dadgummit, I wish I could just tell if this fish mattered or not, so that I could stay here and keep working on them. But that's what I did. I guess the difference in the area I was in, the boats, that's where they go. There's a lot of boats up there. It's kind of it's just a circle. If you leave one to go to the next one, somebody's pulling right in behind you.
The merry-go-round, that's what I call it.
Yeah, and it makes for
following each other.
It makes for some tough decisions, because they're all good.
Yeah.
And I would
Yeah.
say there's probably fish on all of them. There's bigs on all of them. There's tons of big fish, probably everywhere on that lake. But so it's tough. Like you sometimes you stay a little too long. Because where I caught that 22 was just a small depression right off one of those sand flats, and I sat there for 2 hours making just fan casting, trying to find another one of those. Because I felt confident I could get a limit. I just knew it was gonna. I was hearing rumors of 110 inches, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I haven't
Where's
seen
it
that
coming
this week.
from?
Yeah, I didn't look at the boards because I was scared that's what it was going to look like. I never look at that. I don't look at the standings.
That's probably a smart move. I can't help myself, man. I'm like, am I doing okay? And then I looked at it, and I really didn't feel like I was making up any ground, but I was like, oh, I'm in fourth. Ooh, I'm in third. Oh, wow. How did I get here? I didn't even really realize I had 96 inches, and then I looked at, Josh's thing, and it was like 96.25. And I was like, oh man, I got a chance,
Yeah. I guess I must have looked around that same time. It's the only time I looked all day. It was probably like an hour and a half to go or something like that. Not long before we turned the boards off. I looked at it and I was like, oh, I'm in the lead. And then I was like, oh, damn, Tom's only like a quarter inch behind me. So then I was like, I was
trying.
He's gonna have to earn this. So I put the hammer down there.
Make him work for it. Yeah.
Caught a big one. So yeah.
You did it. I was sitting there, and everybody was asking me at the end. They're like, man, did you call? And I'm like, no. I was like, man, it really stinks to lose by a quarter inch.
Yeah.
I was like, I at least wanted to tie him up and make it, go down the line of our fish and see what happened or something.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know what he had. And they're like 99. I was like, oh man, that feels better. I better get
soundly beat. You didn't get.
Yeah, I don't want to. So
you said the quarter inch was worrying you, and I was like, after I saw it, I was like, this quarter inch is worrying me now. But I saw 20.75 like 15 minutes after that. So yeah, it made me feel a lot better.
That's huge. Yeah, and it's but I think that's the jackhammer there. The guys I was staying with, we were kind of. I think we felt the jackhammer was the winning bait. I mean, in practice, what I had seen was I had it in my head whether it was wrong, but the bigger fish were going to get caught in those first 2 hours. But also know some of those fish that were over 20 came on speed worms and stuff like that. Fishing pad stems, and I was fishing pad stem areas too. It's basically the dead ones where they haven't come up. That's the obvious. If you see those, that's like a red flag. Go throw at them. In that time of. Yeah. But then a lot of the other stuff I was fishing was stuff that doesn't have pad stems, but it sets up the same way. It's got that good hard bottom, scattered grass. If you were there when it was clear, I told some of the guys I was with, we were there for the championship back in November, and the lake was gin clear. And I went out there just to check that area, and I caught some fish. I never got on anything I felt like would win, so I was really just trying to make it to catch enough to make it to the classic. But they when I was out there, I marked a ton of stuff. I was like, here's here's these little holes of sand in the grass that everybody talks about in the spring that you can never see because you got a stain or something coming across there. Which is exactly what we had. The stain from the Flint actually, I think Friday started blowing over almost to the channel of Spring Creek. Wow. The way the wind was blowing. So, but that's kind of what I saw. And then water temperature, I think, played a big thing. If my temperature got much below 59, like I wasn't getting bit. And whether it was right or wrong, but I was catching fish like crazy. Not obviously 20 inches every cast or anything, but I was catching tons of fish. And if I got much below, if I saw it get into 58 and I fished some good stuff that's more on the Flint side where the cooler water was, I could not get bit on the speed worm. And there was a couple of kayakers and boats sitting on some of the stuff out there that I really felt like I could go throw a jackhammer on. And, I was hoping those fish would maybe have just staged out in a little bit deeper water. But that was my day. Basically, I mean, the speed worm really, other than that 22, I caught every one of my fish on it.
Nice. That's good.
Jackhammer.
You talked about being there. I'm sorry. You talked about being there in the fall. I don't think people realize how valuable being on the lake at different times of the year really is, because a lot of people only come to Seminole and fish it because most of the tournaments are in the early spring. But if you're out there in the late fall, that's what you see then is very valuable, because that grass will die back and be gone in the spring, but you know where it was and you know where it's not, and that's where the depressions are. And I don't think a lot of people really see the value in that, but there's a lot of value in it.
I agree.
I guess it's kind of, I could equate that to going to like a Highland Reservoir and at Winter Pool and seeing everything.
Absolutely.
At lower levels and being able to go market.
Yeah. Well, and Guntersville does the same thing. And so does Chick. In the spring, if you went, you go to Guntersville in the spring, you'd be like, where's the grass? Other than casting in it and hooking some, but visibly, you're not going to see that grass. And same with Chick. I mean, you're not going to, see the grass, and they have, I think they all have duckweed and milfoil and hydrilla, and Seminole has every kind of grass known to man.
Oh yeah, stuff I don't even know what it is.
I hooked some and I sent it to Jamie and I said, "Hey man, you're a biologist. Tell me what is this?" He's like, "I don't know." I was like, "Okay."
And you get like some kind of,
I said, "Whatever this is, it's good." That's what I can tell you.
Yeah.
So, but
That's
awesome. I do think that, Seminole is one of those lakes that I think if you saw it, I think it benefited me big time being there in the fall, because it's like Josh said. I think you hear about Seminole from about December to March, and then you don't hear a single thing about it the rest of the year.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right.
I mean, it's a lot of the Florida lakes are like that, I guess.
This
really time of year, everybody's talking about them, and then come summertime, they're moved on to northern stuff, I guess. I mean,
well, and I was sad to go there because after November, I was like, oh man, here we go again, Seminole. But I will say that, like Georgia clubs, in kayak fishing and Georgia Bass Nation, it's really smart, even though, we hit tough weather, but it's Georgia. I mean, give it, if you don't like the weather, give it 24 hours and they'll change for you, I mean,
that's pretty much.
But I can tell you,
South, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, but down there, you have a better chance of things stabilizing, things starting to happen to where the fish, like I said, once they start going to the bank, they're not turning around and swimming back all the way out. They're going to move slightly one way or another, and it's easier to find them. Other than the spotted bass fisheries, obviously spots are just
a whole nother animal.
I mean, they help a lot of the Georgia lakes, produce in tough days. But if I was going to a primary, I mean, well, West Point's full of spots, but back in the day, West Point used to be one of the lakes all of our clubs went to in March. And if you hit a 3-day warming trend, it'd be the most amazing trip you ever had fishing. You throw a rattle trap until your arm fell off, and it wouldn't have paint on it. It was so good. So that's I kind of, it's a love-hate, but I do like getting south and having some, a chance at hitting a lake like Seminole correctly, or, even though I think, Josh puts up, right at 100 inches and there was a bunch of over 90. That's impressive for the conditions that we had. I think.
It really is. Yeah.
I mean, for all the anglers there, that's just kind of a
let me
testament to what
go
that
through
lake can
that.
do.
You had Josh, you had 99.5 inches. So you're how hard, like how much were you trying to get to that 100-inch mark?
I was trying really hard,
Yeah,
really hard.
I
Yeah,
bet.
yeah, to the last
I would have
second.
started
I
like
wanted to
squeezing
break
all those
100.
fish and pushing them
I
in.
didn't think you could win with less than 100. To tell you the truth, I didn't think I would be able to win with
Well,
less than 100.
you managed to make it happen.
Yeah.
So then you had 96 inches, Tom, and
Yeah,
from there it kind of started dropping off a little bit to the 90s, and then.
Well, and I think I definitely think the area I was in, and there was tons of kayakers around me, tons of boats around me, but the wind howling down through there, I think it made it tough for guys to hold on some stuff. I think it forced, maybe some guys got out of the wind to take a break.
Yeah.
I'm not that. I am the one I'll just fight it. I'm a little stubborn. I don't know any better, but so it's funny. There was a pretty good boat tournament out of Big Jim's that day. Some of the known hammers of Seminole were there. And I'll tell you, I used to be the glass boat guy, but looking at their weights, I think it took 22 or 23 to win. And obviously
Pretty comparable.
Yeah, Josh, I would have to say you had
21
right in that
I'd say,
range,
maybe.
I would think.
Somewhere around yeah, 21 too.
And I was like, but the crazy part is in that boat tournament, it went from 23 to like 12 pounds.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a big drop off.
Right. And you look at all the guys in the kayaks out there, the top 10, I would say all had 15 pounds or better. Anybody like 89 inches and up. Because on Seminole, man, you can catch a 5-pounder there that's only 18 and a half, 19 inches.
Like those fish, are thick fish too.
Yeah, they just, especially that time of year, right? So, but I thought it was pretty cool, because I knew some of the guys on the boating side. We're gonna pound them, and I'm like,
that's been happening a lot lately with the kayak stuff. Like,
well, sometimes picking an area, like, it may not be what we want to do, but we're forced to manage your time. So you can't spend all day changing ramps, pedaling all over the place. Sometimes, sitting out a place that's producing, and I know some great boat fishermen that used to talk about 5 bites. And I think 90% of kayak fishermen fish for 5 bites because it's kind of forced by the vessels we're in and everything else, right?
I think when the fish are shallower like this area, it's not very deep and stuff like that. I think the boat itself affects a lot.
Oh yeah,
you got fish stacked up in a small depression like that, and you pull a boat, the wind blows them back up over the top of them. I think they'll move. I really think it does.
They got a lot bigger presence and a lot more vibration, I guess, in the water than that's scaring them off.
I would agree because and it's tough for. The guys that really know the lake there, I guess, in glass can go to a lot of places. I think that's why a lot of guys stay away from Florida because of the horror stories of, when you're trying to get in down there on that south. I've done it a bunch, and me and Jamie hit a few times that we weren't sure that the motor was going to crank afterwards. So back in the day, but I think that kind of it creates a lot of places on that lake where the kayak fishermen can present a lure that maybe those fish haven't seen one in a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe never. I don't know. A lot of backwater, skinny water, grass lake really gives, sets up that way.
And I feel like too, like this time of year is kind of more conducive for kayak fishing too, because a lot of the times they're going to be grouped up in an area, and if you're in a kayak, you're going to kind of, if you find them in that area, you're going to stick with that area pretty much all day. Whereas like if you're in a bass boat, you might pick up and run somewhere else when they start biting and try to find another area. But
we used to do it on Seminole. If we pulled into a depression and caught one fish, if you made 5 more casts and didn't get a bite, we were going to the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, 70 miles an hour here, 70 miles an hour. We would literally run 20, 30 depressions a day, hoping to run into them.
Yeah.
Whereas in kayak world, you pick your little area and think I can cover this really well. There's, they live there.
Yeah.
And you're kind of forced to make the best of a situation. And I agree. I think it's to our advantage.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, we're kind of to the point where we're going to start wrapping up a little bit, but you guys got any sponsors or anything you want to thank for your weekend or this event or loved ones or anything?
I'm a dugout guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I grew up with them. I've known Jamie most of my life. I feel like I love the dugout. Other than that, I don't have a lot of.
No.
Well, I have boondocks, and that's about it. But I love Jamie. I love dugout too. He's treated me right. He's a good guy.
I like the hat.
They're good.
All you guys are great. Yeah, Steve's a great guy. Everybody is. But boondocks.
Yeah, definitely.
Me,
Huge thanks to Steve-O and them putting this stuff on and creating these opportunities.
Good job.
Yeah, he's such a good director, and everything he touches is a well-run event.
Yeah,
it's such a thankless job.
And Nick Dyer, Peach State does a great job too.
Yeah,
Nick's
cool guy.
Does a great guy. But they do a lot of I've fished with them when they come down here the last few years, and they're great guys in that too. So I'm planning. Hopefully, I'm gonna fish some more of those. I'm gonna work my way up Georgia a little bit more this year. So I know I'm gonna go to Hartwell for sure. I like Hartwell. It's a lot of fun. So
yeah, that's a good one.
Man, that's that time of year. Wow.
Yeah.
What a great place to be.
Yeah. So what do you guys got next for you? Are you gonna keep fishing the Georgia Bass Nation Trail? Trying to make Tom? Didn't you win AOI for them this past year, or close to it?
I was leading AOI in the last tournament. I had to miss. I fish for fun. I have a job that pays my bills. So, but I own a company, so I'm a little more. When duty calls, I go. I gotta take care of a lot of mouths. But
that makes sense.
But I missed that one. But I want to try to give it a run again. It's kind of a cool feather in your cap at the end of the day to say, I mean, that's, to me, the AOI is one of the biggest achievements. I've won it in quite a few boating events, and it's definitely not showing up and getting lucky. It's consistently, it's hard. I mean, I don't know if everybody realizes, but it's
one of the hardest things to do in kayak or in fishing in general. It's just because you got to be consistent, and you got to be consistent in different places.
Yeah, different times of the year, different lakes. It's a lot. And there's so many great fishermen now. Even the young guys coming up. There's a lot of guys that any day of the week, there's 20 guys that fully think they're going to get first place that day. So it's
and they're knowledgeable, and they pick up stuff so quickly, and they
do. The YouTube view is really helping out.
They'll say, "Look at this," Where was this when I was a kid?
Yeah, exactly. I had a magazine that was like printed 2 months ago, and I don't know that I've ever caught anything that they said to do in a magazine.
It's funny. I mean, I don't do it now because there's so much information out there. But I used to. Bass used to give you a journal.
Yeah.
Every year you signed up.
Yeah.
I have probably 20 years of journals of.
Wow.
It's from boating trails, and a lot of things have changed. But I mean, these lakes have changed. But I have probably close to 20 years of journals where I wrote down water temperatures, conditions, the winning pattern, what I was doing, And I go back and read them sometimes, and I'm like, man, I was an idiot.
Yeah.
But it's funny. There's still some good information there. I was reading on that because Hartwell is not one that, I mean, it seems like in the kayak world, it's becoming a thing, but in the boat world,
definitely.
I mean, we lived on Hartwell
legendary boat world.
Yes. I mean, if you didn't know how to fish Hartwell and you were fishing a major trail, you were, I say major, but we had some big trails here in Georgia, like local stuff that, gave away boats and stuff like that. I mean, as big as you could get without going pro.
Yeah.
But it's, I'm going to, are you going to Gunnersville, Josh?
Maybe. I don't know.
The Bassmaster on Gunnersville, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. I'm going to go do that one.
I may.
I'll definitely be there for that.
Yeah. I'm probably not going to go to Caddo and with Hobie, but I'm kind of up and trying to make a decision about which one or the other. I know I'll probably make a decision by this weekend. So I don't know. I'm going to Harris Chain. I'm going to go to Harris Chain. I mean, I was trying to, like I'm like Tom. I have a job that pays the bills. I have to kind of not spread myself too thin.
Yeah.
And, and this year I kind of decided I was not going to go far. Yeah. I mean, it's not so much that I get plenty of time off. I can take. But the problem is taking the time off.
Yeah.
So yeah. So like the state championship for Georgia Bass Nation last year, I qualified for it because I fished Eufaula. Had a good finish there, and I was gonna fish it, but and I signed up and everything, and then I couldn't. I had to work. It was like an emergency bridge repair, and I had to be there, and I could not take off, and that was it. I just had to, I had to just watch y'all fish.
Yeah, that happens.
So, it's just the way it goes sometimes. So, but I mean,
so you're gonna be on the Harris Chain?
Yes, I'll be there.
Awesome.
That's this weekend, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
What kind of drive is that for you? Like 3 hours?
About 4 hours. Yeah.
That's not
too bad.
Yeah.
Are you gonna get to practice any for that one, or just
Thursday and Friday? Yeah, I get to practice Thursday and Friday.
I think that's plenty of.
I'm not a big practicer though. I don't really love to practice a whole lot because if I catch them and I catch them here and there, it'll mess me up. I just don't like to practice. So, I'll go around. A lot of times here, the last year and a half, probably, I've kind of not even on Friday. I usually don't even fish. I'll get on the water and just pedal around and look at stuff. And but I hardly ever cast. I just, in my mind, every fish I catch during practice is one I can't catch on the weekend. So I don't know if that's
probably
the
true
right way to go, but
probably
No, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be fun. Good luck on that. I hope you do well.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Go down there and keep the streak going.
Yeah, that would be very nice. I mean, I did fish on Sunday. The Florida Bass Nation fished on Sunday, which we're growing. It's growing. I hope this is the first year that they've done the Florida Bass Nation. I really hope it gets to be like Georgia. Georgia's got a well-established nation. There's a lot of people. Like 60 people.
Yeah.
That's a lot. For that.
I feel like it really.
Seminole.
Yeah, I think it really matters, like the support system that the Bass Nation gets.
Yeah.
For that state, at least, Tennessee's got a good one also. Tennessee and Georgia, but both of those Steve's been involved with, so that's not surprising.
It helps a lot doing those dual events.
I've
seen, and I would have to think Florida would be able to grow a substantial trail down there.
Florida's a funny place. I like the Panhandle area where I live. It's kind of a funny place. Not as many people. There aren't as many people kayak bass fishing. There's a lot of inshore stuff. Sometimes it's hard to make the decision on what you want to do, if you want to go bass fishing or you want to go catch redfish.
I guess
my family's from Carabel, so.
Oh really? Yeah, I live in Stop Choppy's right down the road. So.
I have fished out of Carabel since I was in diapers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to bass fish when you got redfish that close by.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people have to make that decision. Now down south, it's a little bit different. There's probably more people that bass fish down there. I mean, not going to say that there's more. I mean, there's more relative to here, but
yeah.
So, but I think it'll turn out good. I think another year or two, and it's good. You know, they moved the Talcon tournament to Sunday because
How did that
someone
go?
wanted to fish Seminole. And for me, it went terrible. I caught 2 fish, but yeah, one of the guys
It
had
happens.
89 inches like that, and then it was like 85 and 80, and then it just kind of went down there. But it was.
But that was
tough.
really tough conditions.
It was,
Yeah.
It was tough.
You guys had a big cold front that day.
Yes,
right?
and it was extremely windy that day.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
the wind on Saturday was nothing like Sunday. So.
Yeah,
Wow.
I drove home Saturday night and I was getting blown all over the road. I was like,
Yeah.
I was thinking about you guys going down there. I was like, man, I hope this stuff. I don't know if you want it to go through or stay because
Yeah,
you definitely don't want to be on the backside of a front. But
yeah, it was very windy. I went to the first ramp where I was going to put in that morning, and I looked at it, and I was like, yeah, I'm not even putting in here. I was going to fish some points, and the wind was blowing on this side. I ended up driving all the way to the other side of the lake to put in just to kind of protect myself. And I knew some points over there that I could fish, but they weren't as good. So, you know, it's just, but that's part of kayak fishing, you know. Part of the strategy, you know, you have the strategy, you got to make a decision. You got to make it work. So,
got to make it happen.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I appreciate having you guys on. It was good talking with you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Hopefully it didn't crash the ship too hard tonight.
No, I think you did good. I mean, he might let you do it again. He might fake being sick next week.
Yeah. We'll see about that. Maybe I'll fake it next week and make him do
there
it.
you go. There you
go. Okay,
well, all right, guys. I'm going to start trying to close down the show here. So thanks for coming on. Going to go through a couple things. So we got the Dale Hollow event coming up, April 22nd and 23rd, I believe, for the PaddleNFin Open. So
you going to that, Tom?
Make sure anybody listening, make sure you get signed up for
that. That would be. I mean, that's
that's
a great place
a good time of year to be on Dale Hollow.
Yeah, that'll be a.
And Tom, I'm sure we'll have you back on or something talk about that. Get excited for it. Hopefully you can make that trip happen.
It's one of my favorite lakes.
Yeah, it's a good place, and then but definitely my biggest stringer of smallmouth has come in April.
Oh yeah.
From there.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I tell you, April on Dale Hollow, the largemouth could definitely.
Yeah.
Man, there's some giants.
Yeah,
in
I
that
think
lake.
that's what ended up winning it last year, but
they're gonna show out.
Yeah, hopefully. I think the last year that it happened, we had like bright skies and bluebird skies, and that
tough on the smallies.
Yeah, it's hard on that lake to fish.
Yeah, they don't like that bright sun, man.
No,
I'd
rather it be nasty out, but it's not as fun to fish in that.
Yeah, the smallies don't like the bright sunny days.
Yeah, it's like I've heard different up north that like the smallies up there like the bright, clear days.
Yeah, I think it's a different. I think it's also how they fish for them. They're fishing for them up on the sandbars and stuff like that. So I think the visibility for the angler actually might play more to that than what the fish like. Because they're a lot of times when they're doing that, they're spawning, and guys are looking at them, picking them off.
Yeah.
The cone.
Floggers.
They stole the cone off
the flogger. That's what it's called, the flogger.
Yeah. Well, I'll have my flogger out ready on Dale Hollow.
That seems like a lot of work.
I'm just waiting for the day when somebody makes like a flogger that can fit through the drive hole that you could just sit there over top of them like that.
They got glass bottom kayaks, man.
Yeah, there you heard that.
Yeah,
we're on
running over flats, looking, and then
I live in Florida. I live in Florida. It's like 3 feet deep, and all I'll see is milfoil, hydrilla.
Yeah, or gators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
You see a gator under you, scare you. Well, all right, guys. That'll do it for our show this week. Next week we'll be talking about the Harris chain next week, and hopefully have the winners on from that. So it
Maybe I'll
sounds
be
like
back.
Josh, you might be coming right back if you
Man,
have
that'd
a
be
good
great.
show out there.
That'd be excellent.
Hey, good luck down there, Josh. Hope you catch
Thank
one.
you very much. Thank you. Maybe I'll see you at Gunnersville. We'll see.
That would be good.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
All right, man.
if you hadn't been there, I think that lake would definitely set up for.
I've been there.
Which, yeah, I was about to say,
Yeah.
if you're from Tennessee, you
I
had
think
to
Florida
been there.
fishermen can do well in Gunnersville. That's
Yeah.
a kind of a lot
Yeah,
of similar stuff.
Me and Gunnersville are. I can do pretty good up there in the fall, but I've always had a hard time in the spring for whatever reason. I don't know why. I just can't ever get on them. So.
I've same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just depends. It's a gamble.
Yep.
Well, all right, guys. Thanks for coming
thank you.
on. We'll see you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yep. All right, everybody. That'll do it for tonight. Jimmy's not here to close it out, so it's just me. But yeah, good talking with Josh and Tom. Got some good information there, some good stuff, and we got some good stuff coming up. We're gonna keep going with our Florida coverage, like we were saying. I mean, you kind of have to this time of year. Everybody's fishing Florida in February. But next we got the Harris chain. Then after that we got Gunnersville, and I'm missing one in between there. I think it's South Carolina Lake, Murray maybe, or anyways, we'll figure it out when it comes. But all right. Thanks for listening. Tune in next time. Let me get my banner here.